You're listening to The Edie J. Adler Show, only on LA Talk Radio.
Shalom, amigos. Thank you for tuning in to the Edie J. Adler Show. I am Edie J. Adler. Surprise, surprise. Well, like I always say, this show is dedicated to everyone who gives me the honor of listening, watching, tuning in. But if you start name calling or insulting other people, then this is not the show for you. I hope to have a few callers today. I haven't had many. The phone number to call the show is 323-203-0815. 323-203-0815. This show is dedicated to the victims of 9/11, which is the entire country, but especially the first responders, the people who were murdered on this day, and their families. And when I say it's everybody, because it has affected the entire country. That horrendous terrorist attack united us. So we need to remember that. We need to remember what it's like to be one nation under God. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter how long you've been here, whether you were born here or you came legally to this country. This is your country. This is your land. And we have to remember that. We are one nation. I am Jewish. I have a lot of Christian friends. I know people who are agnostic and people who don't believe in God, but who are still decent people. And that's all that matters. And when you go to the polls in November, don't let your feelings guide your judgment. Vote for the candidate who is going to keep us safe, because we cannot survive another 9/11. You know that a day like this brings a lot of anxiety to a lot of people. I've been suffering from anxiety for a few years now, and I try to share with you every show some of the tools, some of the strategies I use to deal with anxiety and panic attacks. So the first thing you need to do is look around you. Look at your surroundings, your environment, and then remind yourself that you are safe. You are in a safe place. Also, remind yourself that if you've had your health checked, like I have, you're really not having a heart attack. That's what it feels like. Don't let your mind go with that. It's not a heart attack. It's just anxiety. If you've had your heart checked, it's important that you have your heart checked. I have, because heart disease runs in my family, unfortunately. So a few times I have gone to the emergency room when I was having a panic attack just to make sure that my heart was fine. And it turned out that it was. Thank God. But a panic attack, anxiety, is not pleasant. It's very physical. And it's very scary. So remind yourself you're in a safe place. If you're by yourself, maybe call a friend on the phone and talk about something. Ask them to tell you a silly joke, something to take your mind off the anxiety. If you're not alone, if your husband, your wife, your kids are there, then go talk to them. If you have a pet, a dog, a cat, I have cats, dogs, birds, total. So that helps too. Petting your pets is a tremendous, tremendous help. And also do breathing exercises. Breathe in slowly through your nose. Hold it for a few seconds. Count to 7 or 8 if you can, holding your breath. And then breathe out through your mouth slowly for a few seconds too. And do this a few times. Think of a beautiful place, the ocean for me, the mountains, a beautiful park, and just try to remind yourself you're safe. I hope this helps you. It helps me. Not always, but it helps me. Today I have two very special guests. My husband, Neil Adler, a realtor, and a very special lady whom I love very, very much. She's a little bit delayed. She is recording her news. She works for a news outlet here, and so she's recording news, but she'll be here when she gets here, and then we will welcome her. But speaking about dogs, let's go talk about today's pet of the week. Because trust me, a pet will help with your anxiety. It will make you feel better. It will make you feel needed. And when they look at you, especially a dog, when that dog looks at you, what you see in those eyes is pure love. I have only seen that in my father's eyes. My mother too, but mostly my father. And in my dogs, I know my husband loves me and I love him very much too, and my brother and my sisters, nephews, nieces, aunts, uncles, and my friends. But that pureness of heart you can only see in your dog's eyes. So let's talk about this week's dog right now. And for that, I'm going to put on my glasses so I can read you the information. This is Ted. He should be a 10. If he were to be rated on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being gentle, easygoing, affectionate, treat motivated, loyal, social with people, tolerant with other dogs, and so regal. Look at that dog. He is so gorgeous. He was found as a stray in May and entered the East Valley Animal Shelter. He's estimated to be about 5 years old, weighs about 83 pounds. But despite his size, he is very easy to handle. Ted is so beautiful. Look at those eyes. What am I telling you? When you look into those eyes, what do you see? Pure, pure love. So give Ted a chance. Please go visit the East Valley Animal Shelter at 14409 Van Owen Street in Van Nuys, California, 91405. And you know what? If Ted isn't right for you for whatever reason, there are so many animals there that need a home. But remember, when you adopt a pet, it's for life. It's a life commitment. So only do it if you are serious about it. You will be rewarded with so much joy that they bring into your life. But only do it if you're prepared to be their family for the rest of their lives. And you know, with the fires, many people have been evacuated and many pets have found themselves lost. And they come into the shelters And what they're doing at the shelters, they're euthanizing dogs and cats to make room for the other ones, the ones that are arriving because of the fires. That is, in my personal view, disgusting and cruel. I would not do that. I would find another solution, but I'm not in charge. Also, with the heat, the pets are suffering. It's too hot for them to be in a shelter. They need volunteers, they need fosters, they need people with a big, big, big heart to come and be their angels. And in return, they will be your angel. So take it from me. We have 3 dogs, 3 cats, 2 parrots, and a turtle, all rescued. And I do not regret any single one of them. The birds, my husband and I drove all the way to Vacaville, which is close to Sacramento, because they were rescued. They're in a sanctuary over there where they are looking for homes for the birds. People think, oh, the birds are so beautiful. Look at their feathers, so many colors. And then they take them home, and birds are very messy. And they also scream a lot. Parrots, in particular, they're very noisy and messy. So they think it's beautiful. They take it home. A couple months later, they can't deal with the noise. They can't deal with the mess. They let them go, or they just get rid of them. And they end up close to Sacramento in this bird sanctuary. And they need donations, and they need people who are serious about birds. I've had a bird parrot since I was 5 years old when my grandmother rescued a baby parrot, and she taught me how to take care of it. So I love birds. I don't mind the mess. I don't mind the noise. So we drove and we came back the same day. It was a very, very long day, but we did it to rescue these birds, and I don't regret it. We have a pit bull, we have a German Shepherd, we have a blind dog. I'm her forever foster. He's forever foster. He's a little bit of a challenge because he doesn't like to be alone. And I completely understand. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be a little blind dog, but I don't even want to imagine it, how sad and how frightened he must have been. He was found on the streets in Riverside, California, by a homeless person who immediately noticed he was blind because he was bumping into things. So he did the right thing. He picked him up, took him to the shelter in Riverside. He was chipped. They immediately called the owner, and this idiot said, oh, I don't want him anymore. I let him out. What kind of a person does that with a little blind dog? Not a very nice one. So he's with us now. He's happy and healthy, super attached to me. And I get up to go to the kitchen, he starts crying. So it's a bit challenging. Right now, he's with people, he's not alone. But I don't regret it. I do not regret it. The joy that they give you, the satisfaction, the gratefulness they show you, it's totally worth it. So, my dear Neil, when we met, you didn't have any pets. You lived alone in a 1-bedroom apartment. I lived with my parents, my sister, my little brother, nephew slash son, and I had pets. So what was it like for you when I came with all this baggage?
Well, I wouldn't.
And I'm not talking about negative baggage. I'm just talking about pets and family.
Well, I wouldn't say it's quote unquote baggage, but I remember as a child, uh, we had dogs, a cocker spaniel, and this. So, overnight I went from living alone to having a wife, dogs, cats, birds. But that was fine because I always say they give us so much more than we give them. And another thing too is that I know that you had And since we've been together, we've had lots of animals. All of our animals are rescue, and I always say adopt, don't shop.
Absolutely.
And they give us so much more than we ever give them.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's hard to tell who rescued who.
Exactly, exactly. But I think on some level, God sees that, and I have to believe when we rescue an animal, on some level, they know that we've saved their life.
I absolutely believe that. And I also believe with all my heart that dogs, in particular dogs, are angels in disguise because they're just, unless they're badly treated, unless they're raised for fighting or for being guard dogs, they are so forgiving and so loving and so it's unconditional love. And I have to believe they're angels.
I would agree. And I just hear all these stories about these people abuse animals. And it just, to me, it's a sin. And, we've got our second pit bull. And speaking about pit bulls, they get a very well undeserved bad reputation. And as you know, and we both know that a lot of times that they use them as bait dogs. And we went a few years ago, went down to San Pedro to adopt one, and now we have a second one. And they they have again they get a very bad reputation, undeservedly so. And pit bulls are some of the sweetest dogs that we've ever had.
Absolutely. And it's not the dog, it's the person behind the dog. That's the problem. And there were a lot of dogs in the rescue attempts on 9/11. I think a couple of years ago, we just lost the last surviving dog that was used for finding people buried in the rubbish. And let's talk about 9/11 for a little bit. You know this about me. Um, some of the people listening and watching who are friends of ours know this about me. The rest of you might think that I'm a little crazy, and that's okay. I am. But I have this quote unquote gift. Sometimes I'd like to return it, but it's not returnable. And the gift that I'm talking about is sometimes I have premonitions, I have dreams that come true. And sometimes I get messages from people who have gone to heaven, which I then try to relate to the people that need to hear the message. And I always say, you don't have to believe me. Maybe it's my imagination. You may think that I'm crazy, and that's okay. But I have to tell you this. And 99% of the times, they thank me and they ask, "How did you know that?" So 9/11 was a very unusual day for me. We hadn't met yet. And I was working at the March of Dimes downtown. I lived in Inglewood with my parents, my brother slash nephew slash son. One day I will tell you the story of the slash nephew slash brother slash son. And I woke up about 5:30 in the morning because I used to go to the gym every morning. And I woke up from a horrible nightmare, horrible nightmare. I was perspiring and almost out of breath because I had dreamt that a plane had crashed on a building. So I got myself together. My sister Elsa was planning to go to Mexico the next couple of days. So I got up, took my shower, didn't go to the gym that day, and I went down for a cup of coffee. I used to have a cup of coffee with my dad before I went to work. And I told Elsa, I had this dream that a plane crashed onto a building. Maybe you should postpone your trip. And she got upset with me. She said, no, 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 you just don't want me to go. And I said, no, I had this dream. And you know that sometimes my dreams are premonitions. So please, maybe postpone your trip. And she said, no, I'm not going to postpone it. I made plans and I'm going to go. Okay. So I got myself ready to go to work. I went to work. I got in. I put on a CD on the radio. I didn't listen to the radio that morning. I don't know why, because I used to love listening to Rick Dees, but that particular morning I put on a CD. So I got to work and everybody was in the conference room watching the news. And then I saw the horrific scenes. And I started crying because I knew that it wasn't a nightmare. It was something that was either happening when I dreamt about it or was going to happen very shortly after. And I felt very, very guilty for many months after that, maybe even years after that. I had this guilt feeling because I thought, why do I dream about these things if there's nothing I can do about it? I mean, if you think about it logically, what are you going to do? Call, what I would have done is maybe call the airport and they would have hung up on me. And then the FBI would have come knocking on my door, which I don't mind, but the airport wouldn't have been able to do anything. I wouldn't have known at that moment to call the FDA. It wouldn't have occurred to me. And so it was not a good time for anybody in this country. The only good thing that happened is that we all got united. I remember that. I remember going out of my house to light a candle and all my neighbors coming out with candles too. And we embraced each other. There were people there from Egypt. The people across the street were from El Salvador. And the next door neighbor from across the street, the next door neighbor to the people from El Salvador, they were a black couple. It didn't matter to us. Oh, and there were white people there too. So I was Jewish. The Egypt were, I'm not sure what religion they were. The people from El Salvador were Catholic. And I think the black couple were Protestant. It didn't make a hell of a difference. We embraced each other. We cried. We prayed together. So we hadn't met yet, like I mentioned. What were you doing on that horrendous day?
Well, I remember the night before I was watching Monday Night Football, and who would have thought that the next day we had this terrible disaster? And I remember I woke up that morning and put the news on, and I saw what was happening, and it was just horrific. And I was, at the time, I was living in Woodland Hills, California, which is in the West San Fernando Valley. And I think it was that night or the next night or two, there was on Ventura Boulevard, which is one of the main streets, business streets running east and west throughout the South San Fernando Valley. People were in the streets waving American flags, and it was a very unfortunate circumstance. It was very sad, but the one thing that it did do, it united all of us. And I remember seeing people in the streets and people in their cars waving American flags.
Yeah.
And it was a very emotional experience for me, and I'll never forget that.
Yeah. For us, for my family, it was also very eerie because we lived very close to the airport, LAX. And so planes were coming in and out at all times. And it was kind of noisy. We got used to the noise. But I used to joke that the pilots knew me by name and they would wave to me when they were landing because that's how close we lived to the airport. And it was very eerie because for the next, I think it was a couple of weeks, there were no flights. And the silence was deafening. The silence was eerie, no airplanes. And now I'll come back to what I mentioned before. It didn't matter what race you were. This nonsense that we're living now, where the black students have their own um, graduation parties and their own dorms, and Martin Luther King, that's not what he wanted. He wanted his children to live in a country where their color of their skin wouldn't matter. And I don't understand why the division, why you have to be Latino. I don't like the word Hispanic, by the way. Hispanic literally means from Spain. And most of us are really not Hispanic. We're Latinos because Spanish derives from a language that is Latin. So, but I'm not going to go into that now. But it's nonsense to me. I'm proud to be Mexican. I love Mexico. And I'm proud to be American and I'm proud to be Jewish. But I don't want to be segregated because I'm Jewish or because I'm Mexican. I don't want people judging me from where I came from. I want people judging me for myself, for my own accomplishments, for my own actions. If I'm a bad person, then don't like me. But don't pretend you like me because I'm Jewish or I'm Mexican. I want to be liked for being human, for being a good person, for doing the right thing.
If I could comment on that, my grandparents immigrated, I think it was Belarus in the early 1900s, which was Russia, Poland, and Eastern Europe was very, very anti Semitic, even before the Nazis took over in the 30s. And they immigrated, went to New York. And my father was the youngest of four children, and he and his three brothers served in the Navy or in the military in World War II. And my father served in the Pacific. And unfortunately, my birth mother passed away when I was very young, about 3 or 4, and we moved to Los Angeles. And we lived in an area called Baldwin Hills, which was a very integrated neighborhood. And this was back in the late 50s, early to mid 60s. And I remember growing
I'm a
up,
lot younger than you are.
as you are. And I remember when I went to Hillcrest Drive Elementary School in Baldwin Hills, we had, and this was right in the middle of the civil rights movement. And I remember watching on TV, the civil rights workers were being attacked in the South. But where we lived in Baldwin Hills, we had blacks, Asians, Latinos. And the only thing that we ever argued about was sports, especially the Dodgers. I was a big Dodger fan, and we argued about who our favorite baseball player was. And there was none of that racial division and identified people as this or that or whatever. We were all Americans. And again, I remember growing up then, and we never ever argued about anybody's race, religion, culture, whatever. And I long for those days, and unfortunately, I don't know we'll ever get back to them.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope people will start to wake up and realize that we don't need to be divided. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what your color is, what religion you have, what you believe, what you don't believe. All that matters to God, I think, is that you're a good person. Even if you don't believe in God, I think if you're a good person, you're welcome in heaven. If you've been living a good life, and then you probably go, really? I didn't believe in this stuff. Well, here you are. But yeah, we don't need another 9/11. We will not survive another 9/11. So we really need a strong leader, a strong president, someone who is respected in the world, even feared. Yes, feared. Because if you don't respect us, if you don't fear us, you will attack not just the United States, but other countries, as we have seen in the last couple of years. So I don't need to be specific. I just need to remind you, please vote with your head and think about the country, not just yourself. Don't think about the personality of the candidate you're voting for, because you're not voting for them to be your boyfriend or your girlfriend. You're voting for them to be the leader of the, until now, strongest nation in the world. And we need a strong leader. Would you agree with that, honey?
I would. If I could make a comment also, having been in the real estate business for the last 30 years, I deal with all types of different people and ethnicities and whatnot. And I've also been trained in mediation and dispute resolution. And I have a lot of sayings. And one of the things that I say is attack the problem, not the person. And unfortunately, these days, people are being attacked for their position instead of let's agree to disagree. Let's see what we can do to resolve the problem rather than attacking the other person.
Good. I think our other guest has arrived. So we'll give it a minute or two for her to come in. Please come in. Come in.
How's it going?
It's going really well. And now we're going to go a little bit lighter. We're talking about 9/11. Get a little bit closer so you're on camera too, please.
Oh, there's a camera.
There you go.
Hello. Hello.
So, my dear friends, please welcome the beautiful and talented and generous and kind-hearted and gorgeous Nurmila.
You are so sweet. You are one of my dearest friends, and I love you with all my heart, both of you. You have been unconditional, and it's a treat for me to be here after a long day of work.
It's a treat to have you here.
Good
You're,
to see you again.
Thank
you're
you.
one of my dearest friends too, in spite of the age difference.
Oh, there's no such thing as age. when it
I
comes to-
know, I know.
Yes, no.
I know, but I guess you could be my daughter, and it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to you.
Doesn't matter.
We're very good friends, and I'm very grateful for your friendship.
We have formed a very, very solid friendship, a very heartfelt connection, and I'm very grateful for that.
Me too. So, Noor, tell me about yourself because you have a fascinating life. You're very talented. You're one of the most prominent anchors for Spanish language TV, but also you do English and you do all kinds of things. So tell our audience all the stuff, all the exciting things that you do.
Well, so yeah, my plate is a little full at the moment. I am currently anchoring the national newscast for Estrella TV, which is channel 62.
Yes.
We're also digitally on Tubi, Amazon Fire, and I'm now anchoring the Miami newscast.
Wow.
So I'm doing that, and as well as Alarma TV. I've been hosting Alarma TV with Liana Cretel since 2 years ago. It's going to be 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I got those 3 shows at the moment.
And you do a magnificent job because the topics there are a little bit
A little bit.
a little hard to watch, but the two of you do it with respect for what you're showing the audience, and it's not. I dare to say it's not amarillista. It's not
Sensationalist.
exactly. It's more like presenting these things that are happening, but you do it respectfully and
Thank you. I feel like it's been one of the hardest parts of my job, hosting Alarma TV, because I'm such a sensitive person, which is odd considering that I do the news every day. But yeah, I've been struggling with the content because there are some stories that I just can't let go of, either
Yes.
because they're too graphic or they hit home. So it's been a struggle. I'm not gonna lie. It's something that sometimes I question if I can keep doing any longer.
it's understandable.
Yeah.
I when I worked with you, and I used to work for that show, I some of the stories I brought home with me too,
Yeah. And some of them I still remember.
especially when it involves animals or children.
Same.
That's just
Same
very hard.
category, either children or animals being harmed, and I am done. I completely throw myself off center.
But you have other interesting things going on in your life. What I remember you do some videos too in English.
Oh, I was doing that, but that was before I started anchoring full time.
Oh.
So now I really I don't have any time to do that. But I was hosting and producing Fan Nation for LA TV, and that was wonderful because I got the best of both worlds. I could go to set every day and still interview great athletes and jump off of planes and drive stock cars. So So that was great, but lately it hasn't really been possible. But it is something that I am looking forward to reestablishing again.
Yeah, you're very good at it.
Thank you.
You're a little daredevil, my boy.
I try to be, and it's not that I enjoy most challenges, it's that I do it to get myself out of my comfort zone. I do it because I want to make sure that I'm capable of facing my fears.
And then you have me sweating bullets.
Oh, I know. And you, my mom, and my siblings, all of them are just so worried every time I'm doing something, pulling a stunt. When I jumped off a plane, they were freaking out. My mom was sweating. She was so nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I miss those days. I can't wait to get back into that.
The
It
only-
really it fed my soul.
The only reason I would jump off a plane if it was on fire.
Well, I guess it's not for you then.
No.
No. Well, look, listen, I was terrified. Okay. And then once I did it, it became pretty much an addiction. It's so therapeutic. The amount of dopamine you release when you jump
Really?
off a plane is astounding. Absolutely. You feel on top of the world, and then you're accessing the most beautiful views, and you're just flying in the air. And it's just wonderful. It's so
When do you lose that fear? Or do you ever lose it?
I don't think I've lost my fear. Like if I go on a roller coaster and it's a pretty steep one, I'll still get scared. But that won't stop me from
Right. But
from
what I mean
digging
is
in.
the moment you jump off the plane,
Mhm.
are you scared until you hit ground,
Oh.
or do you lose the fear and enjoy the experience?
Oh, well, it depends. I think the moment I jump off the plane, I'm good. Yeah, the moment I jump off the plane, I'm fine. I'm just terrified of those first seconds of just jumping, taking that leap of faith.
Really?
Yeah. And then and then I enjoy it.
Wow.
And then it's wonderful.
You're a better woman than I am.
No. I'm pretty sure if you gave it a go, you would understand where I'm coming from and you would want to jump again.
I don't have a fear of heights necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a fear of parachutes not opening.
I mean, that's always a possibility, but the percentage is just so slim.
Yeah.
It's one of the safest techniques out there. It's just very, very, it's like when people get scared to fly planes,
Yeah.
to get on a plane, you're more likely to get into a car crash than an airplane
Right.
accident.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think it's just the fact that people feel out of control.
yeah. So exactly. And that was one of my issues, being in control all the time. And if I'm not in control, then my mind would freak out. So I purposely do all of these activities to release control, surrender, and trust more, and not let my ego dictate everything.
And you were overseas for your vacation not too
I
long ago.
was for 10 days with my family. We went to London and Prague, and it was our first vacation in a while.
Nice.
Like all of us together.
You went to what is it called? Stonehenge. Yeah.
That was
Tell me about that.
so unbelievably magical. And I went to the Chalice Well afterwards, and that's in Glastonbury. And it's this well, and the consciousness there is I'm gonna sound woo-woo, but the consciousness there is absolutely intense. You can feel it in the air, how you're accessing another world where there's no duality, there's no evil, it's just pure harmony. And standing there in front of these stones, I mean, you can't explain how thousands of years ago they would have had the technology or the tools to lay these stones in such a perfect way where it actually is aligned with the equinox.
Right.
So I'm standing there thinking, wow, we really have no idea how much there is to life in reality. Like there's just so much more than meets the eye.
Right.
And it's a very humbling experience. And you can feel it in your bones.
You feel the energy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when they don't let you go up the pyramids in Mexico anymore.
I know, that's so sad.
I know, but every time
They would ruin it.
Yeah, but every time I could, I would go up the Pyramid of the Sun, the Pyramid of the Moon, and all the other little pyramids in between. I was in good shape.
You're still in great shape.
And thank you. And then when you're on top of the pyramid
Mm-hmm.
and you take deep breaths,
Mm-hmm.
you feel that energy. You feel that energy filling your body,
Oh yeah.
filling your soul. And it's very hard to describe. If you haven't done it, it's very hard to describe.
You have to do it because otherwise you can't put it into words.
Yeah.
There's no words for that because it's otherworldly.
Exactly.
It's not human.
It's not. And I'm going to sound crazy, but I am.
We're all
I-
crazy here.
I do believe that we have been contacted by beings from other worlds,
Absolutely.
and they have given people some sort of technology
And
to create all of these things.
they've dropped some hints here and there with the crop fields in
Right.
Peru or Stonehenge, for instance,
And the pyramids.
and the pyramids.
The pyramids in Mexico, everybody assumes that they were built by the Aztecs,
Which is
but
not
they
true.
weren't.
No, they didn't have the
They-
technology back
And
then.
they didn't know. The Aztecs actually found them, and they didn't know who made them.
Exactly.
To this day, nobody knows who made them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There are so many highly intelligent civilizations out there that probably stepped foot on the earth and then they decided to, let
Yeah.
our imagination run wild. But yeah, of course, there has to be
I
other.
believe that. Absolutely believe that. And for those of you who think that interferes with my belief in God, it doesn't. Because I believe that if God made life in this tiny little planet, what's to prevent him from creating life elsewhere?
Well, I think everything is God,
Yeah.
whether it's aliens, other species, everything comes down to we are all source. We are all the creation. We are all
Yeah,
the universe experiencing ourselves. It's all God. Yeah.
I agree. And also, one of the reasons I wanted you to come today, Nor, is because of 9/11.
Hmm.
It's a tough day.
Yeah.
And I think that days like this, we need light.
Yes.
And you irradiate light.
It's so sweet of you to say because I don't feel that way so many times. I feel exhausted right now. Like I don't know. I've been dealing with a
Well,
lot of darkness lately.
Yeah, maybe, but you're still a light.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. That means a lot to me. I needed to hear that because lately it's been intense emotionally.
But you bring so much positivity and so much lightness into everywhere I've seen you, whether it's at work, whether we met for coffee, whether you came to visit me or called me when I was in the hospital, which, by the way, you were the only friend who did that.
Oh,
And you just lift everybody up, whether you mean to or not. So I thought for this difficult day, we needed someone like you.
that is so humbling. You just made my day by saying that. I don't take that comment lightly at all.
And I don't give it lightly.
I know. That's why I'm saying.
I only say what I mean.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart and my soul.
I mean it. I mean it. From the bottom of my heart and my soul, too.
And so do you. You are also a being of light. You should be, I don't know how you say canonizar in English. You should be made
Canonized.
canonized. You should
Yeah.
be made a saint. No, you both have just pure hearts of gold. Like if you go to their house, it's pretty much a zoo full of beautiful animals. There's parrots and there's dogs and there's all sorts of rescues. And that to me says a lot about someone.
Thank
And
you.
you give freely and carelessly.
Thank
And
you.
I really respect that.
Thank you very much.
I've always held you both in such high regards. Like your hearts are made of gold.
Well, we value your friendship as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
I want to
you.
invite you to a special event. I'm going to read it because I don't
Oh.
want to.
Oh.
You know my friend Lisa Gibbons?
Yeah, I do.
She is also pure kindness and goodness. She opened her mother and grandmother suffer from Alzheimer's,
Oh God,
like my parents.
that's so funny. I dreamt about Alzheimer's last night, and I was
Oh.
freaking out.
Well, she opened up a few centers around the nation
Mhm.
where they provide support, tools, information for people suffering from Alzheimer's, and also their caregivers and
Mhm.
Parkinson's too. And it's all free of charge.
That's beautiful.
So she's having a fundraiser gala, and it's called Senior Prom. And I hope you are able to join us and come dance the night away at Senior Prom in support of Lisa's Care Connection on September 19th at 7 p.m. Senior Prom is where we get to bring all generations together. Whether you're a student senior or you're a senior citizen, Senior Prom is your night. Enjoy delicious hors d'oeuvres, drinks, music, and dancing. Tickets are just $75. And if you can't make it that night, you can make a tax-deductible donation for $75 and send a senior citizen to prom. For more information, call 818-847-3686 or visit lisascareconnection.org. And you know, one of the nice things that Lisa is doing, they're trying to get some sponsors so they can bring Holocaust survivors to
Mhm.
this gala.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
You can count on my donation and my presence. I am a huge advocate for anybody dealing with Alzheimer's disease to have a better life. My grandmother died from it. She passed away from that. So yeah, that is very close.
Thank you. I lost both my parents to that, and that's actually how I met Lisa.
Wow.
And but let's talk more about you. What's in the future for you? What projects are you contemplating? If you can talk about it.
To be honest, right now it's all blank canvas. I'm figuring out what my next steps are. But yeah, I can't really talk about anything that's sort of in the near horizon, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll both have something to do.
Yes, I
Very
think
soon.
life always presents us with opportunities. And like I mentioned when I first got here, I do want to would like to start that chapter in my life where I'm interviewing out on the fields and interacting with all sorts of people from all walks of life. I love interviewing
And
people.
you do it
I'm
very
so
well.
curious. Thank you. I'm very curious. So I'm gonna see where that curiosity leads.
Good. I would like to work with you again, but I wouldn't. I don't want to work with you. I want to do something with you, a project with you,
Oh, I would love that.
where you and I maybe can work together. Maybe I can play your mom or your aunt or something, because you're beautiful.
But you mean play as in acting?
Yeah.
Oh no, but I don't act anymore.
Oh, everybody can act.
I
Are
don't
you kidding me?
know. Well,
I've seen your work.
really?
Yes.
I mean, it would be interesting to. I took some acting lessons when I first moved to LA back in 2013. I went to Stella Adler, so I know I may be able to dust off those acting chops that I used briefly.
You're very natural.
Thank you.
And that's what you need when you act. You can teach people the method, you can teach them the techniques, but you cannot teach them how to act. That comes from within.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. That's why I'm wary, because I don't know. I haven't done it in a while.
But you're good at everything you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we have a few minutes left. Anything that I forgot to ask you that you would like to mention?
Anything that you forgot to ask me? No. I would say no. Like I said, I've been navigating some darkness, but it's always been the point that when I navigate my darkest times, then it's just brightest afterwards.
Yes.
The darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. So if anybody's struggling with right now, just know that there's purpose behind every dark cloud. There is a lesson, there is a golden nugget that is waiting to be used and seized. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And I'm very much at peace with it.
And you have to remember that you have light within.
Thank you.
So don't let that light, none of you, don't let your light be extinguished.
Never.
This is not my own saying. I don't remember now the person who said it, so I can't quote her, give her credit correctly. But somebody said even the small light can disperse the darkness.
Exactly. And that's why we're here. But you know what? Something that helped me with darkness is it's not about fighting the dark. It's about accepting that life is both.
Right.
Life is light, life is darkness, and it's comprised of them both for some reason. We don't know. But the more we accept it and the more we welcome it and give it love, the more it transmutes into that spark
Yes.
of life.
My dad used to say, for there to be light, there has to be darkness.
Yes. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes. That has been a staple lately. Whenever I'm struggling or things are not going my way or I find any kind of hurdle or relationship issue, that's it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
everything comes out of darkness. Everything is birthed out of darkness if we think about it.
That's
The
co-
universe is dark.
That's right.
right?
That's the first word spoken. Let there be light.
Let there be light.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so powerful.
Extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I love chatting with you. We get all metaphysical and you're so wise. You really are.
So are you.
Thank you.
And you're a lot younger than I am.
No, I aspire to be like you for real.
Thank you. That's a very, very huge compliment. And
Yes.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I meant it.
Well, Noor, we're coming to the end of the show. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming all the way from Burbank
I'm
in
sorry I
heavy
couldn't
traffic.
make it before because we were going behind. But
That's okay.
it's TV.
That's TV, and
It's
I
out of my
understand.
hands, and I'm so sorry.
No, it's not a problem. I'm just grateful that you made it.
Thank you.
And we'll do it again. We'll
Oh,
do it again.
I would love to come
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what I needed to decompress after a very stressful day at work with the news and a lot of, like I mentioned, I'm very grateful that I have that job. Don't get me wrong. I'm so blessed, but I do need my moments of unwinding and unplugging. I think this is perfect. Having these sorts of uplifting conversations. This is exactly what my heart needed right now.
Good.
To cap it off.
And you can always come and play with Maya.
Oh my God.
Oh, she loves you.
I am
She loves
obsessed
you.
with- I'm obsessed with all your precious babies. But Maya, she's a pit bull rescue.
Yes.
I can't say that I haven't met another pit bull that has the amount of charisma and love that Maya has. She is a pure unconditional love in a dog meat suit.
Yes. I think the dogs are angels in disguise. I was saying that earlier.
And you know how dog is God backwards.
Yes.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yes.
I think that's beautiful. I think
Yeah.
that's great. And it's very fitting.
Good. Well, thank you so much for coming. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Neil, for
Thank you.
sitting in with me. We love you. I love you both.
I love you both.
And I'm very grateful for this opportunity to chat with you and to show you off to my 7 listeners.
My commends by what you're doing. I think it takes so many guts that you're out here and you're outspoken and you're vocal and you're creating your own content. I think that is so admirable because so many people want to do it, but they hold themselves back because they're scared of the process or they don't believe in themselves. And you're feisty and you're getting it and you're doing it and you're facing yourself with your viewers and expressing your opinions. And I really want to commend you for that.
Thank you very much. And
Yeah.
I appreciate your friendship and your love and your kindness because you're also very kind-hearted.
Thank you. Ditto.
Well, my friends, we've come to the end of the show. This hour went quickly, especially after Noor got here. But thank you for tuning in. Remember to always, always be grateful.
Yes.
I'm Edie J. Adler. Until next time.
You're listening to The Edie J. Adler Show, only on LA Talk Radio.